So let's turn from the rise of Islam to Charlemagne and Charlemagne's role in protecting the Roman Catholic Church and the attempt to revive the Western imperial empire. So the Frankish line of kings goes all the way back to Clovis and a Burgundian princess named Clotilda. In 496, Clovis was able to unite the Franks and also he accepted Christianity. Clotilda was a Christian princess. And so they come under the rubric of Christianity at that time, leaving behind their pagan deities and so forth. They're Teutons, they're Germans, okay, the Frankish line. So Clovis united the barbarian Franks and becomes a Christian. After he dies, there will be a line of kings known as the Merovingians. And the Merovingians are inept kings who really don't rule, they just reign, if you get the idea. And the kingdom will be run by a group of men known as the mayors of the palace. Now, the mayors of the palace are going to be the ones who do everything. And for example, Charles Martel, who goes out and defeats the Muslims in 732, was a mayor of the palace. Okay? But Martel's son is named Pepin the Great. He will be the one who will depose the last Merovingian, and Pepin will make himself king. Now, it's at this time that the Bishop of Rome, the Pope, will try to create an alliance with Pepin, and because he needs Pepin's power. He needs someone that has kind of boots on the ground military power. And Pepin will go to defeat a group known as the Lombards. That means Longbeards. And the Lombards were threatening Rome and threatening Italy, in fact, and he will defeat them. Pepin will. Now, Pepin's son is named Charlemagne, and he will take the throne in 768 and will reign for a very long time, all the way through the year 814. Now, Charlemagne's military prowess is pretty much unparalleled at this time. He's going to fight 51 military campaigns and win all of them. And he will expand his empire even all the way down past the Pyrenees Mountains into parts of Spain. Okay? Now, Charlemagne at this time was a very large man, very tall. The average European male was probably about 5 feet tall, and I don't know if it's true or not, but anyway, the legend says that Charlemagne was 7 feet tall. But he had a very long sword, so you can imagine once you put this guy on a horse and send him into battle, he was like a Terminator on the battlefield. And so he wins 51 military campaigns, each one expanding his empire out until it controls most of Western Europe. And so he consolidates all of Western Europe underneath his rule. At this time, the Pope, Pope Leo III, is going to seize an opportunity to try to reboot the Western Roman Empire. The Byzantine Empire is still there in Constantinople. It has been under some pressure and has been shrinking due to the Muslims, but the Pope wants to reboot this Western Roman Empire. So on Christmas Day in the year 800, Charlemagne comes for Mass, as was customary, and as he kneeled, Leo puts a crown on his head and announces that he is the emperor of the Western Roman Empire. And so this is symbolic. It's saying that the Pope has the power to make the emperor. And Charlemagne will take the title and so forth, but it's not an idea that is going to be long-lived. One of the things that ultimately going to undermine this whole idea was a Teutonic principle of inheritance. The Teutons held that when a man died, all of his inheritance had to be divided up equally amongst his children or grandchildren. And that was the case with Charlemagne. So his empire was divided up into 3 parts for his 3 grandchildren. And that pretty much fractured the very empire that he had built. And they will go on to fight with each other until only 2 are left, and one will ultimately become France, and one will ultimately later become Germany in modern times. But this was done at the Treaty of Verdun in 843. So, one lasting effect, though, was that Leo's attempt to do this cemented a kind of relationship between the Roman bishop, the Pope, and the Franks. The Roman bishop needed the power of the Franks. He needed an army. He needed someone who had real power in the real world, not just spiritual power. Okay? And so this is going to provide protection for the papacy going forward as it's threatened by all kinds of different barbarian groups and so forth. Now, Charlemagne also contributed a great deal to culture by starting schools. For example, he hires a man named Alcuin of York from England to come down and set up schools, and they're going to use the classical curriculum using the trivium and the quadrivium and so forth. New methods of script were developed so that manuscripts could be written faster, copied faster, and there were all kinds of different cultural advancements at this time. So it's a period that is called the Carolingian Renaissance. And Charlemagne himself is going to try to even learn to write and cannot quite get there, so they made a little template so he could sign his name. But Charlemagne, an amazing guy, was promoting not just military conquest, but also cultural advancement.